This week, I want to talk about Azkaban.
Ah, okay. Azkaban. A place.
Place, exactly. So we're continuing kind of, the dark theme we started last week with Lord Voldemort.
Very fitting here around Halloween if you're listening to us as we're posting.
Yes. So you know what Azkaban is, I'm assuming?
Yes. I don't know much about it, but Azkaban is kind of the maximum security prison where all the really bad people go. Exactly,
yes. It's the wizard prison, the main prison, and it's on an island in the North Sea. It's an unplottable location. Do you know what that means?
People can't find it?
Yeah, basically, it can't be put on any map.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, people can't find it.
Yeah.
And you know who guards Azkaban?
Yes, the Dementors.
The Dementors, exactly. Yes. We'll talk about them in another episode.
Good.
But basically, they drain the happiness out of prisoners until they become insane or, die of despair.
Yes, we talked about them in our very first episode, just briefly, as we were talking about Sirius Black.
Exactly, who was the prisoner of Azkaban from the title of the third book.
Well, let's learn more about the prison itself.
Yes, okay. Well, Azkaban, the building itself, was originally the home of the dark sorcerer Ekrisdis. I think that's how you say that.
Okay.
And he used it, he kind of lured Muggle sailors there and murdered them.
Oh, a nice guy.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I said dark wizard.
Yeah.
So he had put some concealment charms on it so people didn't know it was there. And it was only after he died and these charms weakened that people even knew that the building was there. So, some of the, Muggle authorities the wizard authorities went to go knock it down. And they discovered that it was infested with Dementors. Yes. So they were worried that, if they destroyed their home, that the Dementors would, come out and spread into the wider world. So they just left it. And then there was a kind of particularly sadistic minister of magic called Damocles Rowell, who was the one who had the grand idea to make this place a prison. He was thinking, the Dementors can be the guards and, it'd save the ministry the trouble and the money of employing wizard guards. And there was some opposition to this idea, but, the next minister was also pro-Azkaban as a prison, and so it continued, and the next minister thought it was inhumane, but he died before he could change anything. And after that, ministers kind of turned a blind eye. And there was also the argument that if the Dementors don't get a steady stream of souls to feed off of, that they would leave the island and hunt on the mainland. So... Right. If you got to give them, if they have to eat something, you might as well feed them the worst criminals of the wizarding world, right?
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Yeah. With some iffy morals in there.
Exactly, yeah. Logical, maybe not ethical. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this sounds a lot like some real life prisons. That are kind of, quote unquote, black sites or where, terrorists get held.
Right.
And it's kind of a hush-hush thing that people know about, but don't really like talking about and don't really put an effort into changing.
Yeah. Very true. It was part of the name inspiration comes from Alcatraz, which wasn't exactly that kind of hush-hush prison, but a very famous prison on an island in San Francisco Bay, known for being impossible to escape, like Azkaban. Yeah. But the term Azkaban, the word, comes from the Hebrew Abaddon, which means place of destruction or depths of hell.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Pretty appropriate.
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, it's destroying the prisoners' souls, and that sounds like a pretty low level of hell to me.
Yep. Basically, it's the worst place you can imagine, almost. Another possible origin is there's a town in Russia called Abakan, which is kind of traditionally been a place inhabited by various groups of exiles.
Oh.
So it's this particular town, is where people go to get away from the world, or if they're forcibly, pushed out of the world.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's another possible origin of Azkaban.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, not so. The place doesn't sound very cool.
Right.
But the connection is cool.
Yes. I knew what you meant. Yeah, so that's Azkaban.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, you have to have a name like that. It has to have really dark, pretty literal meaning behind it to get the point across that this is the worst place that anyone could ever go or be
It's a
sent
pretty
to.
terrible place.
Yeah. I'm curious, in the Sirius Black episode, we did learn that he was able to escape, the quote unquote inescapable prison.
Right, yes.
Are there any other known escapees that you know about?
Yes, there are. One famously from the fourth book, Barney Crouch Jr. Escapes from there, but he had help. His mother was dying, and his father actually, they got permission to go in and visit him. And they did polyjuice potion to switch his mother and the mother and the son. And so the mother stayed in the prison and died there, and the son escaped. And later, wreaked havoc on Harry at the Triwizard Tournament.
Yes, I remember that now, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So that was another famous one. And then, of course, once Voldemort came back into power, there were some mass breakouts. But those were also, the Death Eaters helped along with that. So it wasn't exactly an escape, more of a breakout.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So in some future episodes, we'll definitely be talking about some of those characters too, I'm guessing.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So no need to get into them now.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll get into them later.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep this episode short and sweet. It's always interesting to learn the true meaning. I mean, the word Azkaban sounds
kind of menacing. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's good to know that the true meaning behind the words match exactly that.
Exactly.
A dark place, a piece of hell that takes away pieces of you.
Yeah. Basically your sanity, your soul.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to learn more about different words and people and places and spells and objects in the wizarding world, please subscribe to our podcast and rate and review us, share with your friends. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Potternyms.
And if you'd like to get even more content, we do have a Patreon page where you can find us, patreon.com/Potternyms, where we post bonus content behind the scenes, and for some of the upper tiers, some very special treats. So check us out there.
Until next time, I'm Al.
And I'm Erik.
And this has been Potternyms.